Christmas. I was told not to sing. I'll give Facebook a few moments to join into the global network and get us all tied together here as we join together this evening to discuss our slow march toward craziness and wackiness and what the heck is going on here. What's up, Bobby? You accidentally clicked the button. Gotcha. I think it's funny how many people accidentally click on stuff to get things started. Oh yeah, let me fix my outline real quick. I'm getting better at this and what I want to do. Edit, post, watch this. Now if you post, oops. Oh, I'm done editing. Oh, there we go. Alright. Now if you refresh it, you will see the outlines for what we're going to talk about tonight. And then we can talk about it. And always feel free to comment. Because I love hearing people talk, you know? And that's kind of the point of doing this. It's kind of like a radio show, to be honest. It's going to be me talking, and you can see me if you want, but mainly you can just kind of listen. But I have an outline for tonight. And then I'm just going to go over some other things and see what comes up and we talk about. Because stuff is wild. I've got some of my friends online, so let me read. This is something that another friend of mine wrote yesterday at 3:21 p.m. I'll have to clear this, I guess. I think I can just read it, but this is from Mr. J. Bernard Jones. If you haven't had the joy of reading his stuff, he's a wonderful writer and great to watch work. But anyway, he wrote this the other day, so I'm just going to go read it to you. This will get you caught up on what's going on committee for the Trump cabinet-wise. It's today's scorecard. Trump selects Rex Tillerson to be Secretary of State, a close friend of Vladmir Putin, and who has a lot of Russian ties. He selects Rick Perry as Secretary of Energy, who has previously said he wants to dismantle it completely, sort of like the way Betsy Devos, as head of Department of Education, wants to dismantle public education. Ben Carson wants to dismantle important parts of housing and urban development. Tom Price wants to destroy healthcare reform. Jeff Sessions, who is a longtime enemy of civil rights, at Attorney General. Munchkin, Ross, and MacMahon from the World Wrestling Entertainment Foundation, who all want to roll back wages and protections for workers of all types of deregulation for business. And though he has no time for national security briefings, he sits down for a heart-to-heart with Kanye West, and that was through Tuesday. So, I think it's wonderful to look at this now and sit back. The committee is showing up to be this very, very anti-small government thing, and we'll see how that plays out. What's odd is the government philosophy that the Republicans had for a long time has been very anti-government. But unless in certain cases, one of those just happened, and this is the first thing I wanted to start out with. The Benghazi Committee, the one that Congress had to investigate Secretary Hillary Clinton, is gone. It's over. It's done. You'll see some small final report, but they're over. How about that, huh? Remember the whole lock her up? It's all gone. It's all gone. The Benghazi Committee, all of that is gone. Benghazi on Fox. Remember that? For a year and a half is gone. The guy coming out and saying, I don't even want to be a part of this. This is obviously a political witch hunt. The committee, it's gone. That $8 million we spent to reinvestigate it again, that's gone. So, Benghazi Committee is gone. It was obviously, come on, in retrospect, obviously a political witch hunt. And this is one of the things that Republicans feel is the purpose of government, is to investigate Democrats to gain power. You'll see this more. Because I'm going to get to this going here. First off, big oil's back in power. So who isn't excited about this? This is really, really kind of a sea change, shall we say, of what the world was expecting here from the U.S. Remember, a month ago, 1 month and 1 week ago, the world was expecting the United States to lead forth in renewable energy and to lead into the 21st century and fix things. And now we're going drill, baby. We going drill. We going pump. We going frack. We going drill some more. We going drill over there. We going drill over there. Oh, you can drill up there. We're going to drill. Lots of oil. I mean, if you wanted to build like the super duper oil company, you'd do what we just did and build some sort of national oil super powerhouse. What's going to be interesting too, and this is a big fight that's coming for the oil patches out there. You guys, does everybody know where the big oil is? Who knows where the big oil is that nobody's actually claimed yet? Does anybody? Can we do a question and answer session? Because it actually ties in to exactly what I was just talking about as far as the whole, we're going to lead the world in solar power. No, we're going to drill. Anybody know where all the oil's hiding? It was a big deal that Exxon wanted to do with Russia, but we blocked it. Siberia, that's close. Siberia's already claimed by somebody. It's right next to Siberia. All right, what's that? Oh, that was one of the kids. Sorry. Probably River answered it. But the Arctic, right? So, like this whole thing about who controls the land up there, it's kind of right in between Canada and the U.S. and that big country run by, what's his name? Vladimir? Yeah, Vladimir. He is the one. Who's that? Who's that little one? Trying to keep the absolute ridiculously adorable parts of my life out of these videos. Sorry. It's just too funny. There she isn't. But this whole thing that we're setting up with the oil company as a country is going to be interesting as we fight over this $1 trillion worth of oil up there, as well as all the other stuff. I mean, it's just so much to take in from that side, but big oil are just overrunning pretty much everything. There was a huge, and I'll talk about this, I know far too much, I guess, about the oil market, but it's a big part of the future of the world. Remember we were headed towards peak oil a little while back, and then there was some other stuff that happened, which is people kept finding more oil in other places at higher prices. One of those is in the U.S. with our whole fracking boom. There's a big part of the oil industry that has to do with break-even points for how much it costs to pull the oil out of the ground and versus how much you can sell it for. So when the price per barrel of oil falls beyond how much it costs to pull it out of the ground, you stop pumping. So there's a whole sort of demand-supply thing that goes on. In addition to that, you have these large cartels and particular producers of oil. OPEC, you of course have heard about. Russia is another one that's large. And then of course there's the US, who is also now a fairly large oil producer. So last week, OPEC and Russia got together and decided to cut production. So there's been an oil glut on the market for a number of years. This is why gas is so cheap, because the oil-producing nations are producing more oil than the world is currently consuming. And so now they are building this business decision between OPEC and Russia to cut oil production. This is supposed to go in, I believe, January 1st. You can read about this. I'm going to link it later. But so OPEC and Russia have agreed to cut oil production to push up prices. I don't know if they're like hoping to get to like $100, $120 a barrel, but they definitely need it a lot more. And this already pushed it up to 50, like mid 50s, I think. Now the fun part about this is, so they plan to cut their oil production by ultimately over globally OPEC and Russia by about, I think it was like 1.2, 1.3 million barrels a day of oil production. The idea is then this very quickly eats into the backlog, and then demand starts to build up, and then the price goes up. And so this is what's so interesting about what's going to happen now, right? Because you have big U.S. oil, like the U.S. becoming, making oil prices go up is a huge part, I think, of what Trump's plan is to make America great again. Isn't the tree awesome? We did a great job with the tree. The kids did great. But making America great again and that whole oil-producing part is a big part of the economic plans that they're going to try and do. And they have to be successful in order for the social stuff to go about. The social stuff is what everybody's so scared about, right? The whole deporting thing, the whole, all this, the Muslim stuff, women's rights, gay rights, Mike Pence, all that. This is all what everybody's scared about on the emotional level. But that's not coming until either there's like a huge attack or something, or, something else happening. What's happening first is going to be this economic side. And so these oil deals this is it. Like, this is why they're doing this, to try and get all this money. Isn't that curious, Joe? Did you notice that when Bush, the Republican, was president, and the gas was almost $5 a gallon, and now it's down, that Obama's been the president, and he hates the oil companies, and yet oil prices are low, and they want them high. Oh. The Christmas tree is truly the star of the show this evening. But so this whole oil company thing, oil prices are going up, kids. Gas prices are going up, which is going to be good for certain segments of the White House or the U.S. economy. Sorry. So the idea is then that's going to get a lot of people back to work, and then people are going to go make coal again, and then Appalachia will bloom somehow, and then the whole thing doesn't really work. You will see probably some production come online here in the U.S. I know some people, actually, family who work in that business. So we'll see how quickly that production comes back online. But that's the idea behind Big Oil U.S., is to bring a lot of money. Right, exactly. Oh, they're going to make ass loads of zeros everywhere along the line. It's going to be big money for them. So that's the whole thing on the whole big oil and the big corporate stuff. And you can utterly ignore environmental stuff for a few years, always, because you just dump that stuff outside. It's not like kids play outside or anything. They breathe the air, drink water. Let's see. Could be complicated. The sod. I've been very mad at Obama. Yeah, that whole thing. That's what's so amazing about the deal that OPEC and Russia put together, right? Because they'd been fighting for so long on this. Oh, but my point on that really was they're cutting their whole production by 1.2, 1.3 million barrels a day. And don't quote me on that. I can look it up. But that's about the same amount of production that the U.S. has offline right now. So we could theoretically, once it goes up to that 70, click everything. And I think that's probably going to be, if you see like some weird global deal between the Rothschilds, except it's not going to be the Rothschilds, it's going to be the House of Assad, Putin, and this guy, what's his name? Trump something. So that's your secret global cabal that's keeping gas prices high. Ta-da! Figure that one out, I guess. Anyway, and this comes... Anyway, I want to talk about something real quick on the social stuff, because I know, again, everybody's scared about, and I, of course, have concerns about that side of it and those people who I care about in my life and the power of the U.S. government turned against them, which is a big deal. The corporate people, I don't think, are the ones you have to be scared of on that side. They'll take your paycheck and your pension and like that Munchkin guy, he'll foreclose on your house if you're a few pennies short or whatnot, but they're not gonna lock you up. That's the Pence side of it. And again, that I think only comes about with the national security side if something big happens, and this is where the issue is, the economic stuff doesn't work. And what they're planning to do here doesn't get a whole lot of people back to work, which everybody's already back at work. So that's why the Fed just raised interest rates, because we're basically at full employment. And this is, I'll segue a little bit into the Fed decision. The Fed is raising interest rates, and they're going to raise interest rates a lot now because interest rates are non-existent now. So there's lots of room to raise them. The economy is not overheating, but it's working. And so this is where you're going to see a lot of money sucked up from all these people who are, those temporarily repressed millionaires that now got their guy in the White House. Now we'll see their money sucked up both by higher gas prices and higher interest rates. So they're going to be real happy about that. I wonder who they'll blame, right? And this goes to, so the Fed decision is going to raise rates. So you're going to have this squeezing thing, and so there's going to be a lot of tension both there. So watch that gas price going forward as we go back and forward and upside down and back around to the future, which all makes sense now, because that totally makes sense. I wanted to take a moment now and let the Russians run the country for a few minutes. We have a serious problem, folks. What the I don't even know how to... I don't know what cable news is doing. Like, $4, yeah. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not going to make predictions on gas prices yet. All I'm saying is going up. It's going up. I think like 70... I don't know what their target price is. $70, $75. But anyway, speaking of Russians and gas prices, do we still get to vote soon? So here's the big problem with the voting, because they're going to investigate the Russian hacking of the election, right? Which means so many different things to so many different people now, including people claiming that it's fake news to talk about. Oh, the Russians hacked it. Oh, well, why did the vote number go up then, huh? Fake news! Fake news! I actually saw that today. Fake news! Oh, look at that. Damn global ice caps is melting, but it's cold outside. Fake news! But so the question is going to be, you have this investigation in Congress into the integrity of our election, and what has been the GOP response to integrities of elections? How do they answer that question? Voter ID. So that's wonderful. So when we see the Russians come in and doing that, the answer to that and where it moves from there is going to be interesting. Sorry, I was reading a little bit. I want to talk about voting. I'm going to talk about voting real quick. Because in Colorado, where I live now, I should say, how do I talk like Colorado? What's the Coloradan accent? Is there one? Or is it more kind of my just flat, nothing I'd learned on watching TV thing? But 71% of eligible voters voted here in the state of Colorado in this last election. And 75% of registered voters turned in a ballot, which I think is awesome. I love voting in Colorado. In Texas for this year, I believe it was 43% is what I'm looking at. I mean, that's like almost a 30% difference in voting turnout by state. Which, if you're familiar with the form of republic as a government, that's how it works. Each planet, right, Alderaan and Naboo and all these, they all get their own systems as part of the republic. Then they go to the Republic Senate. And the emperor, who doesn't believe in democracy per se, will eventually get rid of the Senate if he needs to, if they don't do what he says. So we're going to continue on the Russia thing, because there's another aspect of Russia that we kind of need to talk about. Not the election hacking, not the oil deals, the killing of civilians. Somebody get Gary Johnson on the line, please. And why aren't they calling him? Why don't they just call Gary Johnson and be like, "Hey, Gary, what's going on in Aleppo, man?" Horrid. There was a thing that happened I had to do a long time ago when I was reading and following the news, and that was not so much because there's so many horrible, like, life-wrenching, just destroying kind of things that you can expose yourself to nowadays. It's really pretty easy. And there's one of them going on right now. And we're apparently on the wrong side of this. And that kind of sucks. I don't know. I can't fix it. So we do need to know about it. So I'm going to mention it. And this Christmas maybe donate some money to some of the refugee organizations over there, for sure. In the U.S., the number of Republicans who viewed Putin very unfavorably shrank from 51% in July 2014 to just 14% in December 2016. During that time, he has supported Bashar Assad's campaign against the civilian people in the U.S. a lot, and a lot of people have died. One of the dangers of the mass movements is people just let this stuff go and just kind of make it okay. And we switched over, and now we're on the other side in Syria and Aleppo, and it's really bad. But that's not really important because Kanye West went to Trump Tower. So the people who are fighting for their lives there, it just doesn't matter per se. Because Kanye, I mean, you understand who... Have you heard that Kanye is like a thing that people are supposed to apparently know about? Yeah, Putin has murdered. He's murdered a lot of journalists. Where he uses the... what's it called? That radioactive isotope. That's the Putin one. Yeah, there's the guy, there's the journalist for the BBC who he assassinated because wanted to shut him up. But Kanye went to Trump Tower, man. Kanye's music apparently is pretty good. No, actually, there's a few songs that I've heard that I don't hate. I try to differentiate artists and their art and try and keep them apart. Generally, and our news media sucks at that and just can't just play the music. I don't care what these people are doing. He's got so many personal issues. Why? But instead of covering Syria and talking about that, because that also happened, but who cares? I do think instead of buying Kanye's music, you should donate money to refugee organizations for Christmas. Here's the thing that's weird about that, though, and this is why I was talking about it's really hard to care about this stuff because it doesn't affect your life per se. It's not going to touch you directly. It is real. It is that that chaos theory concept about a butterfly, right, flapping its wings in a forest, and whether or not it hears when the tree falls on it and it dies, and whether that affects you through chaos theory and all that, and it does. These waves reverberate. The water and light that exists on this planet is all tied together, and so the things that do happen, they do come back to us. How exactly that's going to hurt and where it is a question, but whether or not it does and will it is not a question. So we need to pay attention to the good things and care about stuff, even if it is painful sometimes to watch. And there's so much joy and beauty in the world, it's kind of hard to be sad. Everyone would like to say hi to Mags? Alright. You gotta go back upstairs, sweetheart.
I just want to be in it.
Okay, thank you. So that's the fun part about doing live TV at home. Per se. There's something else I was going to talk about for a little bit. To cover, I don't even know what time I started on this thing. I was late, way late. She snuck up behind me. They're wonderful and so much fun. I was talking about earlier about some of the, apocalyptic stuff and people being scared about what's coming. Meanwhile, the Trump cabinet is just planning on becoming a super Secetary of State. So getting people convinced that they need to stand against them and resist and march is going to be really hard for the moment. And a lot of people just don't care because this stuff doesn't actually directly affect their lives. And the economy is pretty solid right now. What's up, guys? Sorry. Oh, it's all right. We got everybody coming down. So, hi kids, are you guys gonna go upstairs?
No.
Okay.
I'm gonna get on the other side.
Alright, we're gonna pause for a minute. Hold on.
The river wanna be in it.
No, he doesn't.
No.